Today is Thursday, July 22nd, 2021, and this session isn't your first rodeo. You know I love my movies. Also, if you listen to session 35, you know I love The Purge. Well, based on this title, not anymore. I'm done. Welcome to Derapy, Season 2. As you know, I work for Lyft. Today, I went to go pick somebody up. Their name is Karen. 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 And they are exactly... she was exactly how you'd expect. So I pull up right to where she is, where she's supposed to be. And I see her. She's outside. We look at each other. And I pull up to what I think is an appropriate amount of space, away from her. To where, she would probably have to walk, 25 feet to get to me. But she waves at me, and I wave back at her. And she starts, motioning for me to come, drive closer to her. As if, I'm pulling into a car wash or something. And I'm like, okay, maybe she has, a bag or something. Or maybe she's, injured or whatever, and I don't know about it. But she looks like she's in perfectly good shape. But she just keeps waving me closer and closer and closer. To the point where, I can only see half her body. To the point where she is literally, she's almost touching the car. And then she holds up a fist, like she's in the army or something, to have me come to a stop. I was going to stop. You're right next to my car. So then she opens the passenger side door, the front passenger door, and she has a mask on. And I just think it's funny, not that she's wearing a mask, but that she has a mask on and she wants to sit as close as she possibly can to me, not directly behind me. Not behind me in the passenger side, in the front passenger seat. If you're in a car right now, you know just how close that seat is. Because sometimes you want to rest your arm on the console, but that other person already is doing it, so you could very easily accidentally touch each other. We're extremely close. You know how close these seats are. So why is she doing that? So she gets into the car. I'm like, good afternoon, Karen. And she's like, hi, how are you? And I'm like, good. I'm like, hey, if you don't feel like wearing the mask, it's not that big of a deal. I should have known. She's like, why would you say that? I'm like, well, I just assumed that you were only wearing it because Lyft is telling us to, not because, you're actually worried about the virus or anything. And she's like, why would you think that? I don't know, Karen, because we're 4 inches from each other. But I'm like, okay, sorry, my bad. I guess I was just, thinking too hard or something, whatever. I don't know. We continue to have a conversation further, but I don't want to bore you with it because it really annoyed me, and I just don't want to put you through it because it makes my brain hurt just thinking about it. How she's just telling me about how worried she is about the variant and how some people just aren't taking it seriously. And the whole time, she's so close to me. Whatever. Last night, I went to go see The Purge. The Forever Purge with my fiancé. I didn't expect anything. I didn't expect it to be the best Purge movie. I didn't expect it to be a particularly good movie, but I didn't expect it to be bad. I didn't expect it to be the worst thing I've ever seen. It just so happened to be the worst thing that I've seen. This year, to be fair. If you listen to session 35, you know I've consumed, literally, all Purge-related content. I watched the first Purge movie that came out. I watched The Purge Anarchy. I watched Purge Election Year. I watched the first Purge, which I hate, by the way. I hate the fact... Well, that movie's not terrible, I guess. It does seem like you're hustling backwards to make a movie about the first Purge as the 4th installment. And also name it just The First Purge when there is a first Purge movie. So it's hard to talk about the first Purge movie that came out and have you... not thinking that I'm talking about the first Purge movie, which is actually the 4th installment. Whatever. You know what I mean. You'd understand why it's annoying. I watched all 4 of those movies, and I watched 2 whole seasons of the Purge television show, which is based on these movies. So I've consumed hours and 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 hours of Purge content. So when this new movie comes out, you would think that no matter how bad of a movie it is, I can still appreciate it because I'm so deep into it at this point, Kind of like when I look back on F9, which Sharif and I talked in an earlier session about why that movie was kind of bad. At least I could find some solace in the fact that these characters, we know them, we're comfortable with them, and the things that are happening are so insane that you can't kind of help but laugh. Also, Tyrese and Ludacris, they have great chemistry, they're having fun, and it's such a big budget movie. The effects are crazy. Looking back on it, it's as Sharif said, it's a fun popcorn movie. This movie has literally not one redeeming quality about it. I mean, it was all bad. But first, let's just talk about the movie, the plot, or whatever the plot was supposed to be. The movie is about like one white family in Texas that are pretty well off. They're pretty rich, and they have like one Spanish nanny and some other Spanish people that happen to work for them. And it also focuses on not only that family, but also like a Mexican couple. One's named like Adela. I think the other one's named Juan. They couldn't think of any other name for like their Mexican protagonist other than Juan. I don't know why. Just the name Juan just sticks in my craw. Like his name's Juan. Okay, the plot makes little to no sense. So the Purge stopped, but in this movie it's starting again. And the actual Purge in this movie, that is supposed to be the 12 continuous hours of all crime, including murder, being legal. It only lasts for about like 5 movie minutes. And then suddenly the Purge is over, and you get to see, a little bit of the aftermath of the Purge. People are cleaning up dead bodies off the street, wiping blood off the windows. It's just a normal day after Purge day. And then it turns out, oh wait, the Purge isn't really over. Some guy on the news talking about the Purge the day before gets shot in the face. That's crazy. Some lady walking down the street gets caught in some like crazy weird trap that involves like a distressed goat, and then like while she's trying to help the goat, she gets flipped upside down, and some people dressed in bunny costumes come out and like try to mess with her. It's such a stupid scene because it implies that the people in these bunny costumes waited throughout the entire actual Purge for 12 hours. Or maybe they just kept jumping out and killing people and then moving those people and jumping back into the thing that they jumped out from. I don't know. It's stupid. It's a stupid scene. There are a lot of stupid scenes, but that's just the first one. And it's just... So the thing with the Forever Purge is apparently like a bunch of white supremacists around the country decided that they were going to use the quote-unquote Forever Purge to get rid of all... In this movie... Some of the racist white people they use refer to Mexicans as brownies, which I've just never heard of. And I've encountered a lot of like legitimate racism, subtle and harsh and intentional racism, and nobody has ever called me brownie. I've never even heard... When I think brownies, I think delicious. I think moist, chocolatey goodness with a cool glass of milk. But in this movie, they were using brownies as this derogatory term, and I just couldn't help but giggle. I'm sorry. It's just bad. It's like, I know this sounds crazy, but can we hit up some real racists? In order for us to know what they're actually supposed to be like, what they're actually supposed to sound like, it's not that hard. Or get people that have actually experienced real racism to just call in or be there to consult about, like, how, I don't know. Maybe I'm completely out of it here, and Mexicans are actually being referred to as brownies, and I'm wrong. But I doubt it, okay? It just seems unlikely. So, the Purge has stopped. It started again. And then once that Purge stops, then the white supremacists keep on going. And it turns into not just the white supremacists, but a lot of the country is also participating in this Forever Purge, where, even after the Purge alarm sounds and everybody's supposed to, like, chill out, everybody just keeps on killing. So the white people are being iffy. I mean they're being racist. A lot of them are. Like, there's in the beginning of the movie, I don't know, everything is so confusing because in the beginning of the movie they make it seem like, oh, here are some examples of subtle racism, like, white people thinking that they're treating people of color like in a nice and respectful way, but they're actually being unintentionally racist and they just don't realize it. But then they throw all that subtlety out of the window, and they're just like, yeah, if the Purge was real, there would definitely be like a large mass of white supremacists that would try to eradicate black and brown people from the country. And it's just like, which one is it? Early on in the movie, there's also a scene where, like, this is during the Forever Purge at this point, where this guy has this old white dude tied up, and he's like, I want you to feel how we feel, like hopeless and weak and worthless and, you know, all that. And the old white guy is like, hey, you're mad because the NFFA, the New Founding Fathers Association, that they have created the Purge in order to eliminate people. And you are using the Purge to eliminate somebody. So yeah, we're bad, we're racist, we're terrible white people or whatever, but how does that make you any better if you're using the Purge to just kill somebody just like we might kill somebody? And he's like, actually, we're not even killing people. We're just being mean. And you're like out here trying to execute us. And the Mexican dude is like, shut up. And then he like shoots him in the head. And I'm like, I feel like they were trying to make a point, and then their point got like countered, and then they just didn't. I don't know, like what's the point? So it gets weird. Once the Forever Purge happens, people start to, like, you know, normal people like you and I that probably wouldn't want to participate in, you know, eradicating black and brown people, or just like absolutely not wanting to be a part of it at all. Like, we're just chilling. So all the normal people decide they want to like reverse migrate to like Canada and Mexico, and the presidents of Canada and Mexico decide to open their border for 6 hours for people in America that are trying to get out of America, which, first of all, would just never happen. I don't know why they would do that. But this movie's based in El Paso, Texas, and as the movie goes on, so this super racist white dude, like his wife or his mother or whatever, gets killed by like the army because the NFFA / the United States government sends in a bunch of troops to major cities. They declare martial law, and those guys kill this racist white dude's mom, and he gets mad, and somehow that ends up like getting the army base in El Paso, Texas blown up, which somehow makes it to where the United States feels like they have to shut down the United States government feels like they have to shut down the path from El Paso, Texas into Mexico because that one army base blew up, and I don't really see what one thing has to do with the other, but whatever. So this whole time they've been trying, the group of people that we've been following have been trying to get from El Paso to Mexico. You know, some of the good people in that kind of racist white family that are kind of mixed in with our couple Juan and Adela. And yeah, they're like, oh yeah, there's 3 hours left to get there. There's 2 hours left to get there. And then they're just like, oh yeah, actually we're closing it because it got blown up. And then they close that exit. They have to find another way. And like the main antagonist isn't introduced until the movie is like 30 to 45 minutes away from being over. So like you don't even know who this guy really is or what his name is. All you know is that like his mom died and he's mad and he's racist. And it's like crazy because they're trying to hunt down this one group of people that has like half a dozen Mexicans with them. And it's weird because like these white supremacists are like so hardcore racist that now that these Mexicans are actually trying to go back to Mexico, they still feel like they have to follow them to Mexico to make sure they're gone. And it's like, don't you want them gone? Like, why do you have to chase them down and kill them? Like, they're trying to leave. It's just dumb. Look, forget the plot. The plot's terrible. Here's why the movie actually sucks. The acting is subpar. Like 15, 20 minutes in, like when they're about to actually start the Purge, you know, the normal Purge, I lean over and I'm like, I don't know who any of the characters are. I don't know their names. I don't know why I should care about them. Like, no one has any layers. None of these characters are interesting. And the jump scares, we counted about a dozen of them. It's gotten to the point where the suspense builds, and like, I'm actually considering just like covering my ears a little bit because they just play the loudest noise out of nowhere. It's like how I'm just talking normally right now, and then all of a sudden I decide, ah! That was terrible, right? Like, that was super annoying. Imagine me doing that 12 more times. Like, would you keep listening to this podcast? Why would you sign up for that? That's essentially the movie. It's gotten to the point where, like, I just want to cover my ears because... And it's not like somebody is jumping out and actually screaming in the movie. It's not even like an actual bomb is going off or there's gunfire or anything. It's not like somebody is stabbing someone and then they're shrieking in pain, or somebody's being thrown off a building with cinder blocks tied to them. And the sound that's crashing into your eardrums is the sound of them hitting the pavement from a mile up in the air. It's just artificial noise. And it'll literally be somebody like just popping out and just looking at you. Like, it's nothing. And that's every scare in the movie. It's terrible. There are a lot of cringy scenes where people think they're being funny and they're not. There's just no reason to be joking at a time like this. There are so many jump scares. The plot's all over the place. It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand. Like, I understand the reason why the antagonists are acting like they hate brownies. But there's just no reason for them to go as far as they do. A lot of the paths and avenues that they take don't make any sense. They make this one joke about, like, they're like in a store rationing for things, and one character finds peanut butter and the other one finds jelly, and they both like chuckle about it. It's not funny. It's not funny. It's not scary. It's not good. And again, once again, the idea of the Purge, like the actual concept, the idea behind it is so incredible, and there's so many things you could use it for, but they use it to make like this politically motivated dumpster truck of a movie. It's a bad movie. It's trash. It's not scary. It's not funny. It's not thought provoking. It doesn't make you emotional. You don't care about anybody any more or any less. People die. I feel nothing, and it's just full of cringe. And frankly, I didn't even pay for it because we pay $20 a month to see 3 movies a week, and this is one of those movies, so I didn't have to shell out any extra cash to see it, and I still want my money back. I'm done. I'm over it. I'm not doing it again. The Purge and me, we're done. I'm over it. And you know what? I'll be back soon. This episode was made possible by Anchor. If you're listening to this episode on Spotify, please consider giving me a follow so you can be notified when I upload. If this ever ends up on Apple Podcasts, I'd really appreciate a 5-star rating if you enjoyed it. Follow me on Twitter at Derapy Podcast or Instagram at Derapy_podcast. The intro music is by my brother, Damon Buxton. Outro music is by Lobo, and cover art is by my friend Nick Johnson. Thanks for listening. This has been Derapy.